Hey Internet, I'm back. I hope everyone is doing well in the new year because that's exactly what this video is about. This video is about Bitcoin in the new year, why I'm so excited about Bitcoin in 2024, why so many others share the same sentiment, and I believe rightfully so because there's about 8 things that I'm looking at very closely that I want to talk about in today's video, all happening at once, a few that have never happened to Bitcoin before. So it's really exciting. I want to go over, some of my predictions, some of my expectations. I think it's going to be more expectations than predictions because I think a lot of what's happening and is going to happen are sort of more foregone conclusions than they are predictions. So, I don't want to sit up here and act like a prophet or anything like that. And just before I start, I want to say thank you to all of you that showed me support on my first video. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to making many more of these videos for y'all. And I also want to say, look, I buy Bitcoin with a 10 plus year time horizon. So, what happens to the price or to Bitcoin in general in 2024 is not going to make or break me. And I highly suggest that you position yourself or your family or your company in a similar fashion. Just buy Bitcoin in cold storage and chill, and there's no need to go and leverage your house or anything like that. So, all right, I'm gonna list the 8 things that I'm excited about, and then I will quickly go over each of them, even though each of them could be, definitely their own separate video. I'll probably make separate videos on all of these. So let's get into it. The first thing is the ETFs that are about to be approved. Number 2, the halving coming in April. Number 3, the impending rate cuts that the Federal Reserve, is going to have to make. The number 4 is going to be the elections in the U.S. coming in November. Number 5, we have ordinals. Number 6, Lightning, the Lightning Network. I'm super excited about the Lightning Network this year. Number 7, liquidity. And what I mean by that is the amount of Bitcoin continuously declining on exchanges for the whole last cycle. And then lastly, number 8, Bitcoin ESG narratives. I think in 2024, we're going to see Bitcoin become an ESG friendly asset. So let me go into each of them, starting with the ETFs. The ETFs are obviously, the biggest topic right now. Everyone, on CNBC, on all of X, Twitter, YouTube, everyone's talking about the ETFs, and I believe the excitement is definitely warranted because this has never happened to Bitcoin. It's never, or it will have never been, this easy to buy Bitcoin. It will be as easy for, a 401k or, a corporate treasury or any sort of money manager, even nation states. It'll be as easy to buy Bitcoin as it is to buy Meta stock or Google stock or, anything like that. And I think we're going to see hundreds of billions of dollars and then trillions of dollars flow into Bitcoin via the ETF. And I mean, this is, exciting for obvious reasons. And like I said, I want to make a whole video on ETFs, so I will stop there. But going on to number 2, the halving. It's funny because it's almost like Bitcoiners don't expect the halving to come. It's almost like, well, I think we expect the halving to come, but when the new year comes around and it's here, it's like, holy shit, the halving is here. And the halving is here in 2024. We're going to see the block reward go from 6.25 down to 3.125. And this is exciting, I think, because we're starting to get into those smaller numbers for the block reward really quickly. And soon, the amount of Bitcoin that's created every day, every hour, every block is going to be really small. I mean, in 40 years, 50 years, when it's 0.01 Bitcoin, we'll probably think about the value of Bitcoin differently. So I'm really excited about that for this year. Moving on to number 3 is the impending rate cuts that the U.S. Federal Reserve are going to have to make this year. We saw, COVID. We thought the world was ending and we needed to save every asset class by injecting liquidity. And we did so. And, we saw the worst inflation around the world since the 1970s. And to correct that, we hiked interest rates up to, the highest they've been in a long, long time. And I think the Federal Reserve was, looking to kill the markets and make everybody poor and kill inflation. And I think, inflation is largely down from where it was, but it's definitely not gone. It's definitely still here. And at this point, even though, the equities are at all-time highs and, Bitcoin's about to run, I don't think, they have any choice not to cut. And this is totally consensus. You can go and look on, any betting website, any odds website where you can bet on, how many rate cuts are going to happen this year. I think it's right now sitting at 4 are priced in, probably 5, honestly, maybe 6 in my opinion. So I think the Federal Reserve is going to want to see the housing market, start again, but I'm not sure, and I'm not so sure if, that's going to happen. But that's just my opinion. That's not one of the predictions. Moving on to number 4, we have elections coming in America, and this is bullish for Bitcoin this time because it's the first time that major presidential candidates are using Bitcoin as, a pillar of their campaigns. We're seeing RFK Jr., obviously, we're seeing Vivek Ramaswamy, RFK being the independent and Vivek Ramaswamy being a Republican. So, Bitcoin and positive Bitcoin sentiment for campaigns seems to be a theme on both sides of the aisle, which is super exciting to me. I think people are starting to realize that Bitcoin is a freedom technology, which is what America stands for. So, I don't think either of them are going to be elected this year, unfortunately, but, I think more and more people will be hearing about Bitcoin through them. So that's exciting. Take a shot every time I say exciting during this video. All right, number 5 is a bit of a controversial one, but it's ordinals. And I have been a proponent of ordinals since I, got involved with them in January. I think I heard about ordinals when there were like 200 of them, and I just instantly, saw the value proposition of on-chain images or data or whatever on, the world's strongest, hardest, most decentralized blockchain. I immediately saw the value proposition. And now I know this is a really, controversial topic, and a lot of Bitcoin people think that, it's spam on the network. But in my eyes, in 2023, there were over, I believe, $220 million in additional fees that miners made because of ordinals and inscriptions. So, I think they're good for the network. They increase security. I had so many of my ETH maxi friends who were downloading full Bitcoin nodes to inscribe and, buying Bitcoin for the first time, all in self-custody, by the way, and all denominated in Bitcoin, by the way, which is, I think it's some of the things that are going on in with the shit coins and the BRC20s are a little bit questionable, but I still like the JPEGs. I think they're pretty cool, and I think they're doing a lot for miners. And how much in market cap has been added to these miners based off of the additional revenue they've been generating, in through all of 2023. I think I need to make a whole video on this, but let's move on. Number 6 is the Lightning Network. You might say, well, how could you be, bullish on ordinals if you're bullish on Lightning? And because if you're not familiar, ordinals and inscriptions in the high fee environment in general is making it more difficult for these Lightning developers to, build tools that work and are cheap and people are willing to use. And I think, we want to scale Bitcoin. We want the whole world using it eventually to transact. And in order to do that, we're going to have to scale it, on the L2 for transactions. And I think with the high fee environment, we're sort of forcing this development. I think people work really hard when they have deadlines and obstacles that they need to get around. So I am bullish on the Lightning Network and the development in 2024, and I think it might you might start to see more employers paying people in Bitcoin or paying invoices in Bitcoin. Maybe even receiving payments in Bitcoin. I hope we can make some real strides on that in 2024, but I guess we will see. Number 7 is liquidity. And I said what I meant by that is, the amount of Bitcoin continuously decreasing this past cycle available on exchanges. And I know this is the first time this has happened to Bitcoin. Usually, during these 4-year cycles, the amount of Bitcoin slowly rises, on Coinbase, Strike, Cash App. And right now it's just continuing to go down. I think there is something like 2 million Bitcoin available on exchanges for purchase. And, I think we could see a real, in combination with the halving, a real supply shock there. And then I think a lot of people have been talking about this, when you combine the supply shock with the demand shock, with the money coming in with ETFs, that is, super bullish for Bitcoin because it's this combo event. Last one I've got here is Bitcoin becoming an ESG friendly asset. This is, almost inconceivable if you're one of the people that's been buying Bitcoin for a while. We're watching, I predict we're watching Bitcoin transform from a, currency for cyber criminals and bad things that happen on the internet to, just this, nerd money, or even funding terrorism like Hamas and all that stuff, bad for the environment. There's all these things that are totally opposite of ESG friendly, but I think people are going to wake up in 2024 and realize that Bitcoin is the ESG asset, in my opinion. If you believe in ESG, environmental social governance, I believe it stands for, then you should believe in Bitcoin, because Bitcoin gives the ability, people the ability to store value for tomorrow without worrying about their currency being debased by a government that they have no control over. It gives permissionless transactions, and you don't have to rely on any middleman. That's totally, free, in my opinion, and totally, in line with the ESG narrative. And I think, another thing on that narrative is the way it incentivizes people to build their own renewable energy to mine Bitcoin. It's capitalism working at its finest, in my opinion. That's Bitcoin, because, people are incentivized to run the network and mine coins. And the way to do that more profitable is to get renewable energy. It's to hook up, I live in Texas. I think we have, the most renewable energy out of any state in the country. We've got wind, we've got solar, we've got just endless amounts of renewable energy here in Texas. And not a lot of people understand that I think it's 1/5 of the time in Texas, the price of electricity is actually negative. Electricity trades all the time, and when it's not in demand and we have so much of it just being produced, Texas, the people that sell this electricity, they actually pay people to take the electricity off their hands when the network, the electricity network, is not in use. And working hand in hand with those giant Walmarts basically full of Bitcoin miners in Texas, and saying, hey, can you power on or can you power off, where the network, the electricity network, is really in high demand right now. Can you work with us? That's awesome, and that's totally ESG friendly. And that's why I think, and I haven't even mentioned BlackRock and how BlackRock is going to help with this. The Bitcoin marketing orchestra is already playing. We're already seeing like the most interesting man in the world endorse Bitcoin in these commercials, and it's going to get really exciting. So in terms of price, I know people are going to be like, what do you think? Price. I don't know. Like I said, I have decades of time horizon when it comes to Bitcoin, but I think we're going to see probably all-time highs by the halving in April. That means passing 70K. And I think by the end of the year, I think we're gonna have some big days where there are, you know, positive and negative five-figure swings. I think we're not used to that, but we're gonna have to get used to it. And I think by the end of the year, I'm gonna say 121,000. I like the number 21. That seems like a good number. 121,000. Don't make any bets on that. I'm just, throwing out a number. But hey, comment my rights, comment my wrongs. Tell me what, I'm smart about, what I'm dumb about, please. I really want to hear y'all's feedback. And if you want to give me a compliment, put it in the comments. I need engagement. I have like 10 subscribers, so anything counts at this point. Please share, follow, subscribe, all those things. Like I said in my last video, I'm not quite a YouTuber yet, so work with me. But all right, see you on the next one.